Hello my friends, my name is Rich and welcome to Greatest Rock and Metal. On Greatest Rock and Metal I talk about what are for me the greatest rock bands, albums, gigs of all time, based on listening to thousands of albums and going to hundreds of gigs. Please press the red button to subscribe to the channel. It's free, it's easy to do, and it will only take a couple of minutes of your time. Thank you very much. Today is a special episode. In a few weeks' time there will be a massive, nearly 4-hour documentary on my favourite band, Kiss. So I thought, as a lead up to that, I will give some of you fans out there who don't know much about Kiss my thoughts on what are the rankings of their studio albums. Now, Kiss have a massive discography. They have a total of 24 studio albums. Now, I am including in that the 4 studio albums that were done in 1978 that were classed as solo albums, but they were under the Kiss brand name. They featured the Kiss makeup for all 4 members, so as far as I'm concerned, I've always considered them to be true studio Kiss albums. Some of you will disagree with that. Those of you Kiss fans out there who are very vociferous about your views, feel free to comment away, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to be ranking those 24 studio albums. Now, I mentioned Kiss fans, and I'm sure there's already going to be some Kiss fans watching this. We all have our own personal rankings, and many people get quite passionate about their rankings, as do I. But please remember, this is what I think, and of course I'll welcome any of you to put your own comments below as to what your rankings are. Now, with a massive discography like this, I cannot do all 24 in one episode. So, there's going to be 4 parts to this, and the first part today will be dealing in the rankings at the bottom, 24 up to 19. So here we go. Now, first and foremost, I have to say, when it comes to Kiss, as I've already said, this is my favourite band. I have followed them all the way back since 1979, there or thereabouts. Very difficult to remember exactly, but I think 1979. And one of the things that has always excited me about Kiss and why I enjoy being such a fan of theirs is not just the merchandise of what you'll see there, not just the makeup, the superhero makeup, because I still followed them during the non-makeup years. First and foremost, it's always been the music. I love their guitar tones. I love their style of playing. I love their somewhat dubious lyrics for many of their songs. I love their vocals. Everything about this band I love, and to rank the studio albums is almost impossible because I like, and to a certain extent love, most of them. In fact, there's only one album, and it's the one that's right at the bottom of my list at number 24, which I just cannot enjoy. All the other albums I can get great enjoyments from, and we're talking that much of a gap between whether or not they would move up or down in my rankings. They're all such babies for me. Also, one other thing I'd like to say about Kiss, for those of you who don't know them, that's a lot of albums. And one of the other great things about Kiss is that they have not been afraid to go and touch various genres within the rock and metal style of music. So we've got their initial albums, which truly were in the hard rock, approaching heavy metal type of vein. We've got pop rock. We've got, dare I say it to a certain extent, classical stroke concept rock. We have grunge in there. There's ballads, and there's really soppy ballads as well. There's a bit of disco on some tracks too, so they really do cross all musical boundaries. One of the things I really love about them. But of course, their mainstay is right in the middle of the hard rock / heavy metal genre. So let's get on with it. Okay, so as I mentioned, there's one album I just can't get into. It's at number 24 in my rankings. I've tried and tried, but it's just not my style of music. And it is the 1978 Peter Criss solo album. I like Peter Criss. I enjoyed his drumming style on the early albums of Kiss. He's got a great singing voice that wasn't used enough within Kiss, in my opinion. But his style of music that he enjoys personally is very balladesque, very much, soulful type of music. Ironically, the type of music that Paul Stanley is doing at the moment with his Soul Station project, even though at the time, and since the time as well, he really slammed the Peter Criss album himself, and yet it's the kind of music that he's now doing. There you go, that's just Kiss for you. If you know about Kiss, you'll know there's all sorts of hypocrisy within the Kiss world. So we'll also take a look. All of the albums I'm going to show you are all going to be vinyl versions, and some of the vinyl versions I've got are a little bit interesting, for me anyway. This one is taken from the solo albums box set, and one of the interesting things about the artwork for the solo albums is just fantastic. You will see it here on the inner sleeve. And they all have their own colours. We got Gene in red, Paul in purple, Peter in green, and Ace in blue. And so the vinyl has been produced to match the colours. So for Peter Criss, we have fantastic green vinyl there, and you also see his image on the label. So, as I say, not really my kind of music. For every album, I'm going to pick my favourite 2 tracks. It was not easy to do here, because I can't even say that I really like these 2 tracks either. But for me, they're the best of the bunch. The 2 tracks that I would choose are You Matter to Me, and the other track, I Can't Stop the Rain. You Matter to Me, it's got a kind of sing along, you matter to me, that's why, something like that. And it just kind of bops along, it's alright, you can kind of sing along to it. And I Can't Stop the Rain is a ballad. A very well done ballad, actually. I'm going to give Peter that. It's a really well done ballad. One of the other things I should mention about the vinyl version of this album, and it was something that Kiss were known for, again in the early days of their studio albums mainly, was little giveaways. And this was part of a puzzle poster. So as you'll see, there's some unusual cutouts and add-ons to this poster, because it was designed to create a mural of all 4 members, and this is the Peter Criss version. So there you have it. I haven't got a huge amount to say about that album, I'm afraid. Now we're getting into all of the albums I like or love. And at number 23 is another of the 1978 solo albums, and it's the Gene Simmons One. Now, I'll never forget taking this to school when I got this, and I took it to school in our music class. Every now and again we were able to take in albums that we liked. And this one I'll never forget when I first heard this one. Let's have a look at this. We've got the blood red of Gene artwork there in the label. Fantastic looking, this one. And what I wanted to play to my friends at school and the teacher was the opening track on the album. And the track, and it's one of my favorites too, is Charisma. It starts off with this operatic, haunting, horror kind of theme start, and then it goes, you get the guitar coming in, and then it's not as demonic as you'd expect it to be. But wait a second, I said Charisma, didn't I? I should have said Radioactive. I just started singing the song in my head there. Radioactive, the first track on this album, and the track that I played to my mates at school. Sorry about that. Charisma's another song that's going to come later on another album. So yeah, Radioactive, and I really love playing it. And it's about the most demonish that Gene got on this album. It was surprising because it's an album that doesn't fit in with his image. On the normal Kiss albums, most of the Gene songs are the real, the closer to the heavy metal type of songs. And his lyrics are always down and dirty and guttery. And I love the Gene songs on Kiss albums, absolutely love so many of them. And this album doesn't bring you so many of them. He does go into lots of different fields of music with this album. So you get the Radioactive song, which is more of the most upbeat kind of rocker on here. Another favorite of mine, See You Tonight, and that's more of a Beatlesque kind of lovey-dovey song. And there's a few of those on there like that. You've got, what's the other one that's a bit like that? Mr. Make Believe, another great track actually. So, yeah, lots of good tracks on here. Not what I expected, but still an album that I enjoy listening to. This very quickly is the Gene poster that came with it. Okay, so there you have it. Number 22, Kiss Go Grunge. Carnival of Souls, The Final Sessions. Now, this album was recorded just before the Kiss reunion with Peter Criss and Ace Frehley when they got back together in 1996. So this album itself was actually released after the reunion had started. It was released in 97, and pretty much one of the only reasons it got released is because there were bootlegs flying around of the recordings that had taken place. So in the end, the record company or the band decided, well, we might as well capitalize on and get some money back from this album, even though we're not in that headspace anymore. So the album never got any kind of real promotion. As I say, Kiss have always been very much a follower of other musical trends. So grunge had been big in the early 90s, and so Kiss decided, well, let's make a grunge album and let's get a producer in, a guy by the name of Toby Wright, who'd worked with Alice in Chains, and do our own grunge album. Now, what I will say about this album is, I really love side one of this album. I think it's got brilliant songs on it. And in fact, my two favourite songs that I would choose from this album come from side one. The opening track, Hate, which is a real snarling heavy metal grunge song, led by Gene Simmons on this song. Great track. And in fact, Gene really comes onto his own on this album because it suits more his style of music. Although the second track I would choose is a Paul Stanley song, and that's Master and Slave. Really great, more of a traditional Kiss sing-along-ish type song, but still within their grunge feel that they've gone into with this. That's the back of the album there. Nothing special about this album. No great insert or anything like that. It really was a very much a basics release, because they were more concerned at this time with focusing on their reunion that they had done. So not much more to say on that. Okay, let's take a bit of a break and let's have a look at rock t-shirts by the sea. Number 21 on my list, as you've just seen by the shirt, if you know Kiss already, is the album Psycho Circus. This is a lenticular cover version. I don't know if this will work, but if I move it, maybe you will see that the cover changes to a kind of 3D-ish effect or whatever it is. There's the back of the cover there. Now, released in 1998, this was meant to be the return of the original Kiss. Ace Frehley and Peter Criss were back in the band after the 96 reunion that I just talked about, and they were going to make a new studio album, and all us Kiss fans were like, yes! The band's back together! New studio album. And there was a huge amount of marketing for this. There's various editions of the album. There's, buried under there, there's a lenticular CD version of it as well. I've got a beautiful Japanese version here that kind of folds out, and it was there was even comic books created. Kiss Psycho Circus comic books. There were new action figures. Huge amount of investment into this. Now the album itself, as I've said before, I like all Kiss albums bar the Peter Criss one. So I really do enjoy this album, but it was a slight disappointment in terms of what we were expecting to get from it. Now, we didn't know this at the time, or I didn't know it at the time, but those who are very good at knowing the sounds of Kiss later found out that Peter Criss and Ace Frehley were not much to be found on this album. There were lots of session musicians used on the album, and that's disappointing. I'm guessing again it was down to couldn't get to a financial agreement with the guys about playing on the album that everyone was happy with, so they didn't play very much, and I think that's sad, and it does lose a little bit of something. Having said that, I think there's lots of great songs on here, and one absolute dud. In fact, I'm going to tell you about the dud. It's called I Finally Found My Way. It's a pitiful ballad. Pitiful ballad that ruins the whole album for me in that respect. But having said that, like I said, lots of other good tracks on here. My favourite too, the title track, Psycho Circus. Still played today, often in the live show, and I think it's always been a great track. The second track I will choose is not always a favourite amongst fellow Kiss fans, but I really like it. It's one of those, just a fun song for me. And I think I also like the fact that all four band members contribute vocals to it, and it's the track You Wanted the Best. I just think it's a great, fun song. This is inside the album, nothing special about the album itself, it's just normal black vinyl. Nice label, Mike. Nice label. Psycho Circus Kiss. So, this turned out to be the last studio album that Peter Criss and Ace Frehley appeared on, even though they didn't appear on much of it. And that's a shame, because it's not the greatest of send-offs, but it's still an album I enjoy all the same. Number 20 on the list. It is Hot in the Shade. This was released in 1989. And this is a 30th anniversary edition on vinyl. You've got the lyric sheet inside, and then I'm guessed to represent the blue sky of the album, we have a blue vinyl pressing. This album gets hammered a lot by many fellow Kiss fans. Why? Well, it's to many of them it wasn't recorded that great in terms of the sound production. Something that gets labelled a lot at many of the Kiss albums, and it's felt that basically they just took the demo tracks and said that'll do. But I have no problem with any of the Kiss albums and the way they sound. I take them for what they are. And I guess when you're also a fan of Cradle of Filth and Venom, I don't have the greatest ears in the world to detect all these little nuances that upset some fans. I just crank it up and enjoy the songs. And this album has a lot of great songs on it. Too many, just a little bit, tad too many. It would have been a much better album if they'd have taken off maybe 2 or 3 tracks. But having said that, I still enjoy every track on here, actually. Even the track "Read My Body," which again many fellow fans will hammer. My 2 favourite tracks, though: the brilliant opening track, "Rise to It." Great guitar work from Bruce Kulick on this, and a brilliant chorus. You gotta rise to it. I really can't do it. I really, really love this song. Shame it didn't get played live that much. Great track. And the other track I enjoy is the second track on the album, a Gene track, "Betrayed." Another great chorus. In fact, this is an album full of a lot of great choruses, and that's why it's started to move up in my list. For many, it would be further down, but for me, at a very respectable number 20 on my list. Whew! Hey, let's take one more look at rock t-shirts by the sea. So, into the top 20 now, and at number 19, the last album that I'm going to look at today. And it is the last Kiss studio album, probably ever, that's going to get released. And it is Monster. Now again, for some Kiss fans it might surprise you this ranks so highly on my list. I think this is a brilliant heavy metal album. Those of you who complain about the sound, as I said just a few moments ago, I got no problems with the sound issue on this. I just crank it up and rock it out. Full of great tracks. There's the back of the album there. This is the limited picture disc version. Not that limited, because you can still pretty much readily available, still readily available on the second-hand market for not an unreasonable price. Very nice picture disc, and actually for a picture disc, it sounds very good as well. To my ears, I know loads of you are going to complain about the sound, but just crank it and rock it. And there's, like I say, this was actually a tough one to pick my favourite 2 tracks, because I really do enjoy quite a lot of tracks. Well, I enjoy all of the tracks on this album, but in terms of standouts, there's a few tracks that I would choose as standouts as well. But I'm only going to pick 2, as I said, and the first track I would choose will be the opening track on the album, Hell or Hallelujah. Great opening track, full-on rock song, big guitar solos. In fact, I'm going to give a shout out to Tommy Thayer, guitarist, the Spaceman. Ooh, sorry. Great guitar work on this album. I really enjoy his guitar work on this album. He kind of moves away a little bit more from the mimicking of the Ace Frehley style, and we get to hear more of his own style on here. And really great contribution throughout. He adds more to the writing as well on this album, I seem to remember. The second track I will choose is Take Me Down Below. Quintessential Kiss lyrics for me, about shagging. And also what's great about this track is that Gene and Paul share vocals on it. I love it when Gene and Paul share vocals. They take a verse each. Well, Gene has a couple of verses actually, and Paul one verse, and then they share the chorus together. Really underrated song. All you Kiss fans, if you're kind of missing out on that song, go back to this album, listen to Take Me Down Below. Great track. And an album, as I say, full of great tracks. In fact, Back to the Stone Age. I'm going to change my pick. Knock off Hella Hallelujah, Back to the Stone Age. How did I miss that one off? I wasn't concentrating. Yeah. Back to the Stone Age, back where I belong. I love the lyrics to this one, and I also love the bit in the middle where Gene plays a bit of bass. I like it. Yeah! Gene, gotta love him. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on Monster number 19. So, that's the first part of my ranking of the Kiss albums. I know some of the things I've said are going to rankle some Kiss fans out there, and also just so you are aware, I'm not here to review the albums. I was just giving you a quick taster for what I thought about the albums and how I rank them. Please press the red button to subscribe to the channel so that you get to see the second part of the rankings that I do. And thank you very much for watching, and remember, as always, we rock!